Welcome back to the photographycourse.net YouTube channel. In this video I'd like to talk to you about a common subject that I get lots of questions about, and that's different types of lenses. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, don't forget to click the button down below and hit that bell icon so you can stay up to date every time we release a new video. So there's no right or wrong lens to use for any style of photography. You've just got to decide that for yourself. What do you want to see in your frame? And think about whether you want a wide lens or a medium lens or a telephoto close-up lens. You can do any style of photography you like with a standard lens. Basically, a 50mm is a classic standard lens. If that's all you've got, or if all you've got is the kit lens that came with your camera, don't be restricted in your thinking. Sure, some types of photography are going to be more challenging. If you want to photograph sports or birds, then sure, you're going to need a longer lens. Or if you want to really get into architectural interiors, a wide-angle lens is going to be really valuable. And if you're super serious, you'll want to get a specialty lens like a tilt-shift lens that can help correct the perspectives when you're using a wide lens. But pretty much any style of photography can be done with different types of lenses. So we're recording this video here with a standard 50mm, or it's a zoom set to 50mm, so you can see what that gives you. I'm about 1.5 meters from the camera. So it's a nice focal length to see the subject, see a bit of the background, and it's quite comfortable distance for the photographer to be that far away when you're making a portrait. I also like making portraits with a 35mm lens quite often, because that then allows me to be just a little bit closer to my subject. So now we've changed the focal length to 35mm and I've moved closer to the camera. So you can see that this is a little bit more of an intimate lens to use for a portrait, but I really love it in the right circumstances. When I'm photographing someone this close, it's really easy to turn your camera around and show them the photo on the back of the camera. And if the opportunity arises that they give you a good smile, you can just whip the camera back around and catch that smile, take another quick portrait. If you're further away with a more traditional, longer lens for portraiture, say a 105 or a 135, that distance doesn't allow you to easily show someone their photo on the back of the monitor. So that's one reason I like to use a 35mm lens for portraits, and it's a little bit more intimate, so you get a different sort of a feel. But sure, for a more formal portrait, a longer lens is generally preferable. So now we've changed the focal length to 120mm and I'm quite a lot further away, probably about 2.5 or 3 meters from the camera. So now you'll notice that you can see a different sort of a perspective and less of the background. And so when you're photographing a landscape, a wider lens is often better. We're using a 24mm for this shot, so you can see much more of the broad vista. But you can also use a telephoto when you're photographing a landscape. In certain situations, you can create a more compacted image with a longer lens, which can be quite interesting. And so here we're using a 120mm with basically the same background, but it's quite a different composition. And so for each of those focal lengths, we had the f-stop set at f4, so the aperture setting was the same right through, but you would have noticed the background looks different as we've changed the focal length. Now, a lot of people prefer to use a zoom lens or a couple of zoom lenses. It means that you've got fewer lenses to carry around in your bag. Other people like me prefer to use prime lenses. It's really up to you what you find more convenient. We're recording this with a 24-120 zoom lens that my wife loves to use. But whenever we're doing portraits, she'll come and grab my 105 f2.8 because it's just such a lovely formal portrait lens. But it can take a while to figure out what focal length you like to use. And in Adobe Lightroom, you can click on the metadata tag at the top of the window when you're in the library module, and you can configure the metadata to see what focal length lens you use the most. It will give you this information, and it's really fun to have a look at it. So check that out next time you're in Lightroom. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. I hope there's been some interesting tips and points in here. And don't forget to check out the article on our website. I'll add it in the description below the video. Thanks for watching.